Hey guys, today is a historical day, at least for me. I'm here with one of my heroes, the guy that actually played a major part on helping me having my dream of having a business, having a successful business. He actually helped this dream come true, and I'm honored to have Mr. Jeff Walker, the inventor of the product launch formula, here with us. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, so thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely.
And I've been speaking a lot about you, but why don't you start telling us, how did you actually, who are you, right? And how did you actually started this new way of doing business online?
Well, and I'm going to answer that in just a sec, but you know, I spend a lot of time talking about you because it's very exciting for me to watch the success that you have. It's extraordinary success, and also I've gotten to know you, and you're an extraordinary person. So, yeah, you're one of my heroes.
Thank you,
yeah.
Thank you.
So I started, actually I was, in 1996, a long time ago, I was Mr. Mom. That's sort of term we use in the U.S. here.
1996?
Yeah, actually it was before that.
Oh, man.
It was the early 90s, and I was home taking care of my two small children. My wife was out, she had a job, she was an engineer, she was making a living. Then one day she came home and she's like, you know, I need to be home with my kids. I need you to try to help me support the family. And the reason I was home taking care of the kids was because I'd been in the corporate world, and I had never fit very well. We have this saying in the U.S., I was like a square peg in a round hole. I did not fit into the corporate world. So I quit my corporate job. I was home with the babies, and I just needed some type of a change because my wife desperately needed me to help support the family. Problem is, I had quit my job years before, and at least back then, I don't know what it's like in Brazil, but it was not very acceptable to be the man home taking care of the children.
Same thing there.
Yeah, it was unusual.
Yeah.
But it was a situation I was in. And so I did have an interest about the stock market. So I came up with this idea that I would start publishing a newsletter about the stock market. And I just published it online via email. And you know, the first email went out, I've told you this story before, the first email went out to 19 subscribers, 19 email addresses. That was everyone I knew that had an email address back then. Of course, I exaggerate because one of those was my second email address and one was my wife's email address.
Yeah.
But it was 17 people. But then I started publishing via email this newsletter about the stock market, telling people what I thought about the market because I had studied the market. I wasn't a stockbroker. I didn't have any credentials. I wasn't a financial planner. Nothing. It was just me typing into my email program and sending it out. But gradually I started to get more and more subscribers because just through word of mouth, you know, people would tell each other. And so I went from 19 to like 21 by the next issue, and then 23, and then 30 subscribers, then eventually 50 and 100, and then 1,000, and it started to build up. And you know, when it got up, I think it was between 1,000 and 2,000 subscribers to this free newsletter. I wasn't charging anyone. I wasn't making any money whatsoever, but I had this idea of maybe I can try to sell something to them.
Yeah.
And you know, now it's getting into direct marketing and publishing information, and that's something people have made a lot of money from that over the years. I knew that because when I was studying the stock market, I would go look at the Wall Street Journal, you know, very famous financial newsletter. And I would go to a library and look at the back issues to study the market. And I knew that Wall Street Journal had been published for 100 years. And so I'm like, they must be making money if they've been published for 100 years. So someone is making money by publishing, so maybe I can do that. And so I put together what we now call a product launch because I wanted to try to sell something to them, but I have no experience. I've never been a salesperson. I didn't know how to sell. I had no experience with it. And so I was scared to ask people to ask for the order. That's the term we use, ask for the order. And I was scared, so I started romancing them by giving them good stuff, more and more content, and that eventually led up to the sale.
And was it intuitive? Because you know, this formula became one of the most successful ways of doing business online. I mean, it has sold more than, I mean, the last time I read in the Forbes was was in the article saying, hey, this formula sold more than 400 million. Was it, was it intuitive? How was it?
I guess it was intuitive, but it was, and this isn't going to sound good because it doesn't sound like I was some mastermind or whatever, but I was scared to ask for the order. I was scared to ask people to give me money. So I thought if I gave them really great stuff, they would like me so much, then it would be easier to get the money.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
And so that first launch, it did $1,650.
$1,650, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was huge for me because like at that time,
That's
I think.
back in 1996.
Yeah, 1990, it was early 97 by this time.
Yes.
And I think at that point, our family income was probably, $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
And so, $1,650, but the thought that I had right then, this is the one thing that was smart, was I thought, if I did this once, I can do it again.
Yeah.
And I can do it again. And I might even get better at it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened because the next launch actually did $6,000. And then the next one did $8,000. And then I did a few at $8,000. And I did $34,000. And this didn't happen overnight. This was a progression over months and years.
Yeah.
But then eventually, a few years later, I did the one that did $106,000 in a single week. We had almost no costs other than our credit card fees.
It's the famous 6 and 7.
That was it.
Yeah.
And by then, my wife had retired. She was home with, taking care of the kids.
Yeah.
And that was just the start of it. It just kept on going from there.
And how did the market? You start doing this, and how did the market start learning about that, and the market started doing this like massively. How did it actually happen then?
What happened was January 97, that first launch. And so I'm making it sound like it happened quickly, but it took a while. In 2003, so 6 years later, I went to a marketing seminar, and I was just hanging out at the bar, which is, that's how you meet people at a seminar. And I just mentioned someone, and it's actually Frank Kern, who is a famous marketer here. And I said, we did this launch, we did $106,000. He's like, what? He's like, I've done some things online, but I don't know anything like that. 6 figures in 7 days. And so I taught some of the stuff to Frank. I taught some stuff to John Reese, another famous marketer, famous marketing instructor, Yannick Silver. I started to just help them out, teaching them, and they started to use it, and they started to have success. And at that point, up till then, I had only just been doing it in my little business about the stock market. And so they started having success, and they said, Jeff, you should really be teaching this stuff. And that was when I decided to come out with the product launch formula, which was actually in 2005. Released that, and just instantly the market changed. Everyone started using this. Yeah. And a lot of people were like, Jeff, once everyone knows how to do this, then it'll stop working. But you have seen the results just get bigger and bigger because we keep on learning more. Yeah. And when I say we, it's like me, my partners, but also my mastermind partners. You're in my mastermind. And we all keep on making it better and better. And so the results we get now is 10 times. I mean, like multi-million-dollar launches are not unusual here in the U.S. And of course, it all depends on your market and your business. And I'm not saying you're going to do a multi-million-dollar launch your first. I mean, if someone comes out and they take the training and they go through the training and they make $4,000, I'm happy. They've had an incredible return. But then usually what happens is it's the launch stacking. Each launch gets better. You've seen that in your business. Yes. You get better and better and better. And that's how I went from 1,650 to 6,000, 8,000, 34,000, 106,000 to 600,000 to 4 million, 3.7 million, and it just keeps on.
Did you do the $1 million hour as well?
Yes, I had that was when I brought out PLF 2.0. Yeah. We did. It was about 51 minutes to get to $1 million. It was like 1.1 million in the full hour. Yeah. So yeah.
And one thing one day I actually heard you talk about, but a lot of people cannot imagine themselves doing $1 million in a day, even in an hour. I couldn't. The first time I actually, maybe I want to acknowledge you because you actually showed what was possible for me, and believe me, I was this thing, if he can do it, maybe I can do it. Right. And then I end up doing that. But once you've done that, what was next for you? Because, you know, my feeling is that once you get to this point, you enter in an empty, sort of an empty space where you get when you actually achieve what you want. So what happened to you after you did that?
Right. Well, and that's a great question because, and if some, like, I'm glad you brought that up because first of all, I'm throwing out these numbers like $1 million, like it's nothing. And it's the biggest thing I can ever imagine. Like actually when I started out, that $1,650 was, I couldn't believe I made that. And then $8,000, and then $34,000. That was more than I'd ever made in an entire year in my life. And so yeah, it was unbelievable. And then, yeah, to do $1 million in an hour. And all of a sudden, I had literally all the material goals that I ever thought I would get. I mean, I never thought I would have that kind of a life. And so at that point, you reflect quite a bit. And really what it comes down to is I love to make a big impact, a big positive impact on people, and then have them take that positive impact and make it out in the world. A friend, part of our mastermind, John Gallagher, went from the food stamps. His family was on food stamps, food assistance. Now, has a business that does 6 figures and multiple 6 figures per year. Susan Garrett, another person in our mastermind, she started off with a $9 ebook and a $27,000 launch, and now she does tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars teaching about dog agility, and they are out in the world helping people. And then like you, I mean, look at what you've done in Brazil and the impact, I mean, the unbelievable impact you're making in an entire country. And to think back that I had some small piece of that, and then you're taking that and spreading that throughout the world. That's what gets me excited right now.
Amazing. And it's amazing how it changed me, because when I actually bought the product launch formula in the first place, it was because I wanted to have a business and I have no training, wasn't going very well. And I wanted to have a business because I wanted to make a load of money. And that happened somehow, but
somehow. A lot of work, a lot of hard work.
Yeah, a lot of work, but probably much faster than I would ever dream about doing it myself. I know for a fact. But today, I was walking down the street here, and was in the shopping mall with my wife. We were buying a mobile SIM card so we can communicate here in the US. I'm doing a road trip and stuff, and there were loads of Ferraris there. Ferraris, McLarens. Never saw a McLaren, like myself, and were McLarens and all this dream cars, and I don't know why, but they're all there today. I don't know why. And I was looking at it, and if I actually ask myself before I was buying your product or something, Erico, why do you want to build a business? And say, because I want to have such a nice lifestyle, and I want to have a Ferrari, and I want to, the Ferrari was in my head, and I was walking there, and we kind of progressed to a space where I actually am financially abundant right now. So yeah, I could have a Ferrari. This is just possible right now.
Right.
And I was looking at that Ferrari there, and there's nothing wrong with a Ferrari. No. But when I look at the Ferrari, imagine myself in the Ferrari, and now I imagine myself doing what I do, which is helping people to expand their lives and their businesses, and I feel much more impacted by helping them.
Right.
We just had a live event there, and I could see in their faces, which is good. So, and I owe that to you, to showing me how much more you can do with a business than just actually having a Ferrari. Nothing wrong with Ferraris, right? Nothing wrong.
They're beautiful machines.
They're beautiful machines if you want to get one, and as much as you want to get anything else or a big house, no problem. But there is another level, and I own you showing me what businesses can make in the world, and I would never be able to bring that to Brazil. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I think a lot of us go through that. It's like when I started out, I was just desperate to try to help support the family. And then once you start to have the success, then it gives you the space and the means and the time to be able to think about those bigger things that really do fill our hearts. So it's amazing. It's amazing. I saw some of the video of your event and from your event in Brazil last couple months ago.
Yeah.
And of course I can't understand anything. I can't understand the words, but I can understand what I'm seeing in that photo or the video, and people were excited. And you know, I mean, frankly, for me, one of the exciting things that Procter & Launch Formula does is it allows me to bring people to that live event, and then we can take it that much deeper and be completely transformational for people. And so, you know, that's just another, who knows, yeah, I mean, to think like our last live event, we had like 600 or 700 people there. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago if I could have ever dreamed of being on stage in front of all those people, or even having that kind of event where people would come, I mean, it's so much fun. I love it.
Awesome. And thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, it's awesome. I wouldn't imagine myself. It was a bit of I was really in deep fear before I stepped on the stage, but when I stepped, I felt so much an expression of what I came to the world to do. Right. But now, Jeff,
you know, I know, I understand your fear.
Yeah.
But like all of us in our mastermind group, because like so we have Erico's in my group, and we are always conversing back and forth via email, and then we meet 3 times a year. But like, so Erico was a little worried, so he came to the group and told us he was a little worried, but none of us, we all knew you were going to just completely rock it when you got on stage. So.
And this is part of the thing. I think having you and the mastermind, sometimes I believe that you guys believe more in me than I believe in myself.
Yeah, and you should. I mean, that's the way it should be.
And that gives me somehow, if they believe in me, why shouldn't? And sometimes I take the courage to do these things. But, well, thank you for believing me. Mm-hmm. And to finish it up, I would like, there's a couple of people right there that are starting right now, right? And you are my master. You are the guy that actually brought me from zero. I had no training on entrepreneurship at all, back to starting up 5 companies. And I would like you to, what were your major tips for someone which is right there, they are watching it and they say, I want a little bit of that, I want to start a business online. Right. What would be your major key things?
Well, boy, there's so much, but this is, there's a lot of people in the world that they have big plans. And they're always thinking about what's coming next. So, you know, you probably know people like this that just tell you about what's going to be happening in their life. How they're going to be doing this project and making more money, or they're going to be doing this trip, or they're going to be learning to do this thing, but they never actually do it. And you have to be someone who just actually goes ahead and does it. And the way that you do it in this business, it comes down to 2 things. To get started in this business, you need to be building a list. You have to build an email list. And you need to have an offer that you're putting out into the world. And so that's like when I told you my story. The first thing I did was I started that email list with 19, but it was really 17 people. Well, that list, just by gradually adding 10, 20, 30, 40 people a day over a number of years, that list actually grew up to 80,000 people. And that at any point I could send an email and drive thousands of people to my website, to any offer that I wanted. If you're not building a list, then you're not building an asset. So you absolutely have to build an email list. And then you have to create an offer. You have to create an offer for your product. You know, people get worried about creating a product. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can do a series of teleseminars. You can do a live event. You can shoot some videos. I mean, we're just sitting here shooting a video. It's not complicated. Your phone probably has all the capabilities you need to be shooting video, and you could create products. My first product was so simple. It was just people subscribed to a series of emails that they would get from me. So the thing is once you create an offer, it's not going to be great right off the bat, but by putting it out there and then getting the feedback from your market, then you improve your offer. So if you want to be in this business, you want to be in the game, you need to be building a list, and you need to create an offer.
Great, Jeff. Thank you very much for your time. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Walker.